Hey everyone, it's Darren. Welcome. Today's video, we're going to look at text concatenation. Uh, if you work with text data, you'll find that you spend about half your time chopping it up text strings into smaller strings, and that's called text parsing. We already have a video linked down in the description on how to do that. Uh, the other half of your time you'll spend putting those little pieces back together into bigger strings. And that's what we're going to talk about today, and that's called concatenation. Concatenation really is just taking your strings and lining them up. Very simple. So let's just jump straight into an example here. The oldest function, this should be available in every spreadsheet program, is concatenate, and A1, A2, A3, A4, and that concatenates, this is a test. Okay, well, that's not exactly what I wanted. I kind of wanted some spaces in there. So let's try again here. So concatenate A1, A1 space, A2 space, A3 space, A4. Okay, that's what I wanted. You see, the difference is that concatenate just literally takes the strings and slams them right together. Uh, so if you want to stick in a literal value, you just concatenate another value with a space in it. Just you can put anything in there. It can be, I could have changed this instead of that the space. I could have done a ampersand or something. It'll stick anything in there. You can put text strings. You can put whatever you want in. Um, so concatenate, like I said, has been around since the beginning of spreadsheets. So you will have that available on your spreadsheet program. There's a shorter way that most systems, this has also been around for a long time. Instead of typing the word concatenate, you can actually just do equals A1 and A2 and A3 and A4. And of course, that has no spaces. And if you want the spaces in there, you can do equals A1 and quote space quote and A2, like the idea. Okay, so that is the concatenate function. And so the ampersand pretty much is identical to the concatenate function. And you're probably thinking, well, why can't I just put in a range? And technically you can just put in a range. So let's just put in a range here. A4, or sorry, A1 to A4. And that's not what you wanted. So it actually brings them back in as separate rows, and that's in sort of a weird thing here. So you don't want that. Now, Microsoft eventually realized that it was kind of a pain to type these long lists of parameters. So they actually created the concat function. Now, this was introduced, I believe, in Excel 2019. So if you have older than 2019, you may not have the concat function. If you're using a non-Excel spreadsheet, especially an older version, you may not have the concat function. So this is concat A1 colon A4. And that does work. You can also do the concat A1, A2. You could do spaces here, A3, A4. That works as well. Um, so that the concat function allows you to use a range. You don't require a range. In fact, if you've noticed when I typed in concatenate, you get this little warning sign on here, this little exclamation mark. And the reason you have that is that it's a deprecated function. They recommend you use concat instead. Concatenate is still supported. It's probably going to be supported forever. It's in so many places. But concat is the newer function. If you have it and you're not worried about sharing to somebody who has a really old version of Excel or a really old version of some other program, I'd go ahead and use concat. If you are concerned about possibly sharing, then stick with concatenate. Uh, there's one other function, though. You notice that whole thing about typing the spaces uh, is kind of a pain, and there's a way around that, which is to use text join. And text join, the parameters are a little bit different. So delimiter here, I'm going to put a space in as my delimiter, and you have to pick your second one is ignore empty cells, true or false. I'm going to tell it true this time. And then you can put in parameters, and you can put these in individually. You can put in ranges if you want. So I'm going to go ahead and do A1 to A8. And you see it says that this is a test, ignore line 5. And I did not type those spaces in between the cells. It put them in for me. And you may not see what the true did. Let me do it with a false here. Text join. I'll put in a space as the delimiter again. False. A1, A7. And here you see there's an extra space in there because it did not actually ignore it. We can actually make that a little bit more clear if instead of a space, we put something like an asterisk. And you can put anything you want as delimiters. You can put commas, you can put spaces, you can put, the word albatross if you want. It doesn't matter. It doesn't care. Uh, but in this case, you see you have two asterisks here because it does one between test and A5, which is blank, and one between A5 and A6. So you get two. And that's the difference with text drawing. Uh, as long as you're using reasonably modern stuff, really you'll probably want to use concat and text drawing, depending on what you're doing. If you're concerned about using older stuff at all, you'll use concatenate. And if you're just doing a few things, a few cells, you'll probably just use the ampersand because it's faster to type. And you can embed these into other functions and things. The result is always a string. So play around with this. You can do a fair amount of stuff, and you can put together pretty much anything you need to using these functions. If you have any questions, drop them down in the comments. If you learn anything, please hit the like button. Also, please subscribe and hit notify so you can see when new videos come out. I have a Patreon channel at patreon.com/data analysis excellence. Have a link for that down in the description as well. And hope to see you again soon. Thanks for stopping by.